It's fair to say Manchester City have had some injury problems this season. With star players Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne being out for extended periods of time, Man City needed someone to step up. With a lot of players proving their worth, Julián Álvarez has really become a star in both them positions. But how has this insane 24-year-old become such a key element of Pep Guardiola's tactics and team this season? Julián Álvarez was signed in 2022 and went back on loan to his team River Plate, having a great season in Argentina. He returned to Manchester City last year and ended up playing 49 games in all competitions, still playing quite a lot of football, but mostly off the bench, still getting a respectable 17 goals in all competitions. But he was mostly seen as a backup striker to Erling Haaland and could be played out on the wing occasionally. Now, with Kevin De Bruyne's big injury at the start of this season, Manchester City were looking for someone to step up in that attacking midfield role, and with not a lot of players really suiting that role, such as Oscar Bob being preferred outwards on the wing or up front, it left a bit of a gap in the team. So Pep Guardiola decided to play Julián Álvarez there, give him an opportunity there because he's got elite passing and elite running with the ball skills. Now, if you don't know, a basic premise of Pep Guardiola's system and tactics is that he likes playing positional play. This is very big in the high level of football. This helps teams progress the ball forward, usually enabling them through triangles and squares created on the pitch with a lot of players running, and there's not really set positions with everyone kind of being in half spaces, being able to run in that flank. A common example of this is when he actually started using the inverted fullback system and had his fullbacks come inside for the middle, being in that triangular space there. Now, the attacking midfield role is very important for Manchester City because you're not only attacking, because you're playing in half spaces and have to create triangles, you often have to help the defence or the DMs try and get the ball up the pitch, often having to get closer to them to be in that half space and be good on the turn. And despite Alvarez's height and stature, he's very strong on the ball. He's very good at holding it up, something like we'd see Gabriel Jesus very good at. And he's very smart on the ball. He knows when to help triangles in midfield and run with the ball up the pitch. And this intelligent running, passing and possession-based play led to him thriving in that attacking midfield role for the start of the season. And he did a very good job at adapting to that role in attacking midfield, coming a lot deeper with the ball. But he is clearly a very intelligent striker, and even for Argentina in the World Cup, he would often come deeper to help Messi get in behind and help him up the pitch. He's clearly very intelligent, very good at holding the ball up. And while he's proven he's a very good option in that attacking midfield role, now Kevin De Bruyne is coming back to fitness. In the last few games, in the last few months, he's actually been operated up front again because the injuries to Haaland have been happening. And since then, he's had 4 Premier League goals in 4 games. And more importantly, he's playing a more integral role for City's approach plan than the Norwegian. Often there is a lot of criticism on Haaland for only scoring tap-ins. While I don't think this is necessarily the case, there is definitely more elevated positions for him, and he definitely is allowed to just kind of sit in the box and wait for the ball to come to him. Because of his physical stature and his brilliant physical attributes, this makes it very easy for him to do while also having a brilliant finish. Álvarez has to be a lot more clever when being up front because he doesn't pose these options. Álvarez is excellent at off-the-ball runs. He's probably one of the best strikers in the Premier League at doing it. He's very good at making his movements so he's onside and keeping with the ball in front of him. We saw this specifically against Burnley with his 2 goals. He did brilliant movement to get into the box, but the second goal was special. It's a brilliant free kick by De Bruyne, but Álvarez runs past 1.5 men to get to the ball and put it into the back of the net, timing his run to a perfection while also having a great effort at goal. Now, while Julián Álvarez is not as great at output as Erling Haaland, that is to be expected, but actually this season when he was playing that attacking midfield role and now even the striker role, he's one of the highest creators for the team. His ability to pick up the ball from deep and work in them half spaces, being really good at helping the ball go over and really good at passing very quickly, while also understanding when to put the through balls so the striker is on time, because he understands that because he's very good at running himself. And that is completely separate to how good he is at goal poaching and finishing. Like, I know there's some criticism of finishing sometimes, but overall Álvarez is very comfortable at finishing, much better than someone like Gabriel Jesus was for Man City. He's very good at working in the half spaces in the box as well, and he has shown it a few times with his partnership with Erling Haaland. It works perfectly as he's very good at running off the ball. He almost makes that run from deep inside the box, something like İlkay Gündoğan used to do for Manchester City's winning side. And he also has the work rate and pressing to play anywhere in that team for Manchester City. He's one of the best pressers for the team, and it can't go unspoken. He's clearly elite fitness, and he's able to play 90 minutes for most games while intensely pressing. He's definitely one of the best athletes in the team, and he's very good at using his smartness to close down angles. Is a lethal combination to help him be a brilliant player. And at the start, when Julián Álvarez was getting more game time this season, it was definitely a risk-reward situation. Sometimes he'd make the wrong decision because I don't think his decision making is the perfect amount it could be, and this was caused Pep Guardiola's team to be lackluster at the back, having not many people cover, especially when Rodri plays, because Álvarez likes to get a lot more forward than De Bruyne does. But Álvarez has adapted to this, and he's used his brilliant on-the-ball dribbling skills and brilliant running power that he has to help progress the ball as much as possible, and he does come back into the deep to help. Even when he's playing up front, he works a lot more with the players around him, often coming deep to help the ball go out wide, then getting back in the box. And in a sense, Julián Álvarez is not as good as De Bruyne or not as good as Haaland at certain different things, but he's a bit of an adaptation of both of them, and he can do both of the things that they can do to a decent level, obviously not to the same sort of level. And while undoubtedly Julián Álvarez's real talent is ball striking and position inside the box, that doesn't mean he's necessarily limited to that. I've seen some people comparing to Eddie Nketiah. Now, Julián Álvarez can play in midfield and run with the ball, and he's very good at riding challenges. He's also very smart to work with the wingers and work with the play up front and not just sitting in the box, so I don't think that's a very fair comparison. For me, Julián Álvarez is one of the best strikers in the Premier League, and I think because of physical attributes that he necessarily doesn't have, I actually think he probably is the second best striker in the league, because some players do have these sort of things and have more advantage in certain situations. And while I think Pep Guardiola played him in attacking midfield to sort of have a two-striker system that Álvarez is actually used to at Argentina and River Plate, and often at times he did work really well with Haaland going forward, but he also did help going and helping the ball progress from midfield. He also did come and help Rodri in the back, and while he's not going to make tackles and be that physical in a challenge, he's a good outball to get the ball out and out quickly. And while he's been tasked with a lot of different roles this season, he still does them all to a brilliant level, and he's not really in the box striker as much as you would think, because he does move around the midfield and around the left side of the pitch and right side, but mostly the left side a lot in the games. And Álvarez is undoubtedly a direct player. He's very much direct. He very much wants to get in the box and have them shots away because he's a brilliant finisher. And it definitely has been shown that Manchester City have been going for a more direct approach this season, which I think has helped him, as well as the more minutes. With the likes of Doku coming in as well, he's a very direct player who likes running at defenders. And while every Manchester City attacker ends up having really good output because of how good they are and how good the system are, Álvarez has 8 goals and 6 assists in the Premier League this season with 21 games played, which is very encouraging, considering he is still the sub-striker behind Erling Haaland, who has only played 16 games and still scored 14. And Julián Álvarez is creating around 4.41 shot creating actions per 90, which is way more than last season. It's over double more than he was creating last season, and he's creating more chances per game. Not just for himself, but also for his team around him, trying to get people in better positions. And I think if Kevin De Bruyne isn't going to play, the best player to play in attacking midfield is Álvarez, even over someone like Phil Foden or Oscar Bob. I think Álvarez is Manchester City's true hero of the season so far, because I think they would be a lot further behind Liverpool in the league title race if he wasn't playing, because obviously Kevin De Bruyne was injured for 4 months and Erling Haaland has struggled with fitness over the last few months, and he has slotted in perfectly in them 2 key positions for the team and adapted on the time to get even better. For someone who's not had a huge amount of minutes overall in the Premier League last season, he had a decent amount, and the fact that they signed him for a very cheap deal and he is one of the best players in the league just shows you how good the system is and how good of a player they recruited for just £12 million. Julián Álvarez is one of them adaptable players you need in every team that are going to compete for the title. They need someone that can play in these positions and come in and still play to a very good standard, obviously not being as good as the other players in certain roles. And while he undoubtedly struggles with some aspects of the game, I do think overall he is a class player. And with his free role in midfield and his free role up front to come back and help the team and also be in the middle to help the goal really suits him, where he can really run around and do what he can because he's got brilliant fitness levels every game. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and watch one of my other ones. Thank you.